I don't know if we truly understand in its infancy of just a 12-team playoff what home playoff games actually mean. How does the Lane Kiffin situation affect Ole Miss? I think it's actually going to bring them closer together. I think it is eerie how quiet things have been from Eugene. It's like they've got just something up there brewing for all of us. I have this take about the NCAA tournament that is a bad take. The way I said it on Monday morning was so dumb.
Touchdown. These fans are the best in the country. A day like today is why we love college football.
Hey, welcome into the program, everybody. This is the Joel Klatt Show. I'm Joel Klatt. The show is brought to you by Graduate by Hilton, and we thank them for their support as always. We've got playoffs ready to go, and I cannot wait for it. We've got the first round. It's going to be starting on Friday night, obviously bleeding into Saturday. So I've got those 4 games. I'm going to give you some picks and previews of the first round of the college football playoff. And I'm also going to go through the bracket and tell you who I think is going to win it all, and we'll fill out a bracket right here on this program. Before we get into this, just remember, if you have not subscribed to the podcast over on YouTube, please go do that. You can do that. Subscribe, hit the notification button. We would appreciate it. If you're just listening to this as a podcast audio version, go ahead and rate and review us. That would be awesome. And then wherever you like the social media, we're there. And you've probably seen me around social media over the last couple of days, and you can find us on social media at Joel Klatt Show. More on that in a little bit. We've got picks coming up. These playoff games, at least 2 of them should be really, really good games, and I'm fired up about them. There's no doubt. I love the college football playoff. I think it's going to be a really good college football. At least 2 of these games are going to be, I think, really good in the first round. Now, to update you on the whole entirety of the season, hasn't been a great season picks-wise. Been tough deal. 36-40. So we're 4 games below 500 against the spread. Last year, we went 8-3 picking against the spread in our playoff picks. So let's hope we're hot going into this week here and then the entirety of the playoff. Remember, home teams all won in the first round last year, all by double digits. So here we go. Friday night, Alabama on the road at Oklahoma. Alabama is favored on the road by 1.5. Listen, Bama's been dealing with a lot. I think that they've got some distractions. There's some question about how their focus is going to be. The last time we saw them on the field, Georgia was beating them down pretty handily. Then you've got all of the talk about what Ty Simpson is going to do with his future. And obviously, Kalen DeBoer, his name being thrown around. He's had to make comments and statements about his commitment to Alabama. I've always said on this program, and I think you guys have long heard me say this, the quickest way to be defeated is to be distracted. So the distraction meter for Alabama, is it going to play a part in this game? We don't know. Now, Alabama has not looked great in the last month, in particular, Ty Simpson throwing the football. In the last 4 games, he's been under 60%, just over 200 yards per game, and he's only thrown 5 touchdowns. That's not going to cut it. This is a guy that has to be throwing the football really well because it's been a one-dimensional team. Because of that, this is a tough matchup against OU, and really the reason OU won in that matchup in Tuscaloosa late in the season. This defense for Oklahoma is a relentless, attack-oriented style of defense. They are tied for the lead in sacks in the country with Texas A&M. They've got 41 sacks on the year. They are relentlessly behind the line of scrimmage, and they blitz a ton. In fact, they're in the top 5 in college football in terms of blitz rate. And Brent Venables is going to do that. He calls the defense, and he's been doing that his whole life, all the way back when he was originally the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma, and then the defensive coordinator at Clemson, and now obviously the head coach play caller on the defensive side for the Oklahoma Sooners. In that first meeting, Bama had some success, at least from a yardage perspective. They outgained OU by nearly 200 yards, but they turned it over 3 times. And a lot of it was because of that attacking style of defense. OU turned those 3 turnovers into 17 points. That was 17 of their 23, and they won that ball game in Tuscaloosa. This one being in Norman is a big deal. I don't think that we, as like a college football consumer, an enjoyer, I don't know if we truly understand in its infancy of just a 12-team playoff what home playoff games actually mean. Last year, it was a drastic difference. The home teams played incredible. The environments were incredible. I've long told you on this program that I think home field advantage in college football is one of the great advantages in all of sports. And a lot of that is because great teams at home with a great environment tend to play well. And it's really tough to win on the road. That's why I was a bit surprised that Bama is actually favored by 1.5. Why would they be favored by 1.5? Well, OU really struggles on offense. That's the only thing in this game that gives me a lot of concern for Oklahoma. Oklahoma is elite 2 of the 3 areas of their team. Elite on defense. They're elite on special teams. In fact, they've got the Groza Award winner as their kicker, Tate Sandell. He's been phenomenal. He can make it from anywhere. And their offense has been, at least in the back half of the year, a bit suspect. Ever since John Mateer had that hand injury, he had the procedure on his hand, he just hasn't been the same. So in the back half of the year, what it's been largely for OU on the offensive side is short fields, turnovers, creating points. It's also been a lot of explosive plays, but very little driving methodically down the field. This is an offense that I don't think is going to be able to do that against a Bama defense that has, let's face it, played pretty well in the back half of the year. So the matchup is interesting in this one. It's very interesting. The biggest question for me, and I think it's the question of the entire game, is can Oklahoma score? That's the question. We talk about this all the time when we talk about like Iowa. We know Iowa is very good. We know Oklahoma is very good. They're elite. 2 of the 3 areas of their team. What is the offense going to do? What is the offense going to do? Do they have to do a lot? We don't know. You see, I firmly believe that because of the environment and because of the pass rush, I think it's going to be difficult for Alabama to sit there and throw the ball sustainably without running it. Now, Jam Miller being back, maybe that helps them out a little bit, but they haven't shown the ability to be really balanced. So in this game, I think it comes down to the matchup of that pass rush, being at home with the home crowd. And let's face it now, and let's not forget about this. This fan base, this proud Sooner fan base, which is one of the great fan bases in all of college football. Really, it is. It is a phenomenal fan base. They have been waiting for this since that Sunday morning that Lincoln Riley left them and went to USC. They have been waiting for this moment. They got one of their sons to come home in Brent Venables, and they've been trying to build themselves back into what they are here, which is a playoff team and maybe a playoff contender every year, perennially. That's what Oklahoma has been. It's one of the great programs in the country. Because of that, and because this Friday night kicking off the playoffs, I think that place is going to be, I've got goosebumps right now just thinking of it. The Palace on the Prairie is a great venue. It's one of the great venues in college football, and I think that place is going to be going. Alabama has struggled under Kalen DeBoer, not entirely this year, but struggled generally on the road under Kalen DeBoer. And they struggled mightily the last time they were in Norman. So I'm actually going to go OU. I think OU wins this one outright, 20-17. They find a way to get to 20 points. Sandell hits a couple of long ones. They get a couple of turnovers, and they win it very similarly to the one that they won in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma wins this one outright. I will take that 1.5. Let's move to Kyle Field. That's the early game on Saturday. Miami at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 3.5-point favorite. Okay, so here's what we got going on. I think this is a great matchup at the line of scrimmage. When Miami has the ball, you get to see 2 first-team All-Americans go at it. The Miami right tackle is a phenomenal player, Francis Maui-Noa, and he's going to go against Cassius Howell, who's one of the great pass rushers that we've got in college football, and he splits time on each side, so he's going to get to go up against Maui-Noa, and that is a terrific NFL matchup. These 2 guys are absolutely NFL players, and that's a matchup that I think is going to be critical in this game. Maui-Noa is going to need to control Cassius Howell, because one thing Miami has not done really well is run the football. Now, A&M's run defense is not great, but Miami doesn't particularly sustain their run game very well. So it's going to be Carson Beck. Can he move the ball down the field? On the other side, Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor versus the A&M O-line. That's a great matchup as well. So this is a line of scrimmage-oriented game. I have more questions, I think, generally speaking, about Miami than I do A&M. That Miami lack of run game makes me a bit nervous, to be honest, because being on the road in Kyle Field with Carson Beck as the quarterback, first of all, what Carson Beck are you going to get? And if you can't complement him with a run game, then you're throwing the football when you have to against a pass rush, which has sacked the quarterback 41 times, which is tied with Oklahoma for the most sacks in the country. That's a problematic equation for how to win on the road. So I think they'll have to sustain the run game, get a lead early, and try to take the crowd out of the game. I talk about great environments like the Palace on the Prairie in Norman. Kyle Field is going to be absolutely electric. That is absolutely one of the great venues in all of college football, and they will be going absolutely bonkers. These two quarterbacks, Carson Beck and Marcel Reed, I think really good players, and both of them have been streaky. They run hot and cold. We saw that with Beck and all of his turnovers against Louisville. A&M has been on a poor streak, in particular of late, back in the later, 3 games or so, where they've turned the football over almost 7, 8 times. They can't do that. They can't do that. I think this game comes down to which quarterback can play clean. I don't even think the quarterbacks have to be great, but which quarterback can play clean. Now, my hunch is that would be Reed. And the reason my hunch is it's Reed is because he's at home. He's got a better run game to help sustain him, and he's got elusiveness, which Miami at times this year has struggled with, corralling an elusive quarterback. That can get away from the pass rush. It can create some first downs. So he's got more at his disposal, whereas Beck, if they can't run it, he's just going to be sitting in the pocket against the nation's best pass rush on the road in Kyle Field trying to win the football game. I don't know. Great skill in this game. Malachi Toney for Miami. He's a phenomenal player. Mario Craver, KC Concepcion from A&M. Can't wait to see these guys play. I think that the home field advantage is going to be too much. And it comes down to, Mario Cristobal has not been great in big game situations, in particular on the road. I think A&M wins this game. Mike Elko wins this game. Marcel Reed wins this game. And more specifically, the pass rush wins the game. I think that they put Beck in some binds. In particular, once they get a lead, they get the pass rush going. And at that moment, you get some turnovers. And if A&M can create turnovers, they're really tough to beat. Do you know A&M's -7 in the turnover margin? It's wild to be this good, to be as good as they have been, and be -7 in the turnover margin. If they're plus in this game, they win it. I think they win it. I'm going to take them by 4. I'm going to cover the 3.5. A&M 28, Miami 24, in what I think could be a classic. I really do. I think that one's going to be a phenomenal game. All right, Tulane at Ole Miss. This spread is 17.5, obviously, towards Ole Miss. These teams played in September. Ole Miss won 45-10. How does the Lane Kiffin situation affect Ole Miss? I think it's actually going to bring them closer together. It's going to create a better environment in that stadium because everyone's going to be trying to circle the wagons, right? Having Charlie Weiss Jr. there is some cohesiveness to what was there before from an offensive standpoint. So I don't think they're going to miss much. Meanwhile, Tulane's pass defense is not what it needs to be. They're in the 120s. What is it? 123rd in the FBS in pass defense. And now you're facing Trinidad Chambliss and this explosive Ole Miss offense. Plus, you've had Charlie Weiss Jr. and he's got the game plan, extra time game planning. I know it's going to be new for him a little bit. But this is an offense that had the 4th most plays of 25 yards this season. I will say this, though. This is a bit of a worry, maybe not in this game, but moving forward for Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is a phenomenal play caller. And building a game plan and calling plays are two different things. In fact, there are a lot of coaches, and this is kind of coach speak. Within coaching circles, you're considered a great weekday coach or you're considered a great Saturday coach. And that's basically meaning do you know how to manage a game and call a game on Saturday, or do you know how to build a game plan? The best of the best understand and are good at both. Build great game plans, execute them with great play calling on Saturday. Some, are hit or miss in one area or the other. I will just say this. I think Lane builds great game plans, but his real superpower is his timing in play calling, and they will miss that. Maybe not in this game, but at some point in the playoff. Ole Miss is great at home. They've won 21 of the last 22 in Oxford. That home crowd, I think, is going to be riled up, obviously, with the Kiffin exit. Meanwhile, John Summerall at Tulane, he's coming off that win over North Texas in the American Championship where they got 5 takeaways. He's got another job, so they're dealing with a little bit of distraction. Ole Miss wins this game. This is too big of a task for Tulane. It just is. I know some people have said, like, well, because of Kiffin, I think Tulane could. Tulane is not a good enough team to line up against. This Ole Miss team is incredible. You know, they have Georgia. They have them. And they're an undefeated team, and they have a bye. I think Ole Miss wins this one, even if it's not as drastic as the 45-10. 35-14, that covers the 17.5. So I'm going to give the 17.5, and I'm going to take Ole Miss 35-14 at home on Saturday. Gives us our last one, James Madison at Oregon. All right, so here we go. Oregon is favored by 21.5. Wild. Wild. That's a big number. We can talk about the structure of postseason play all we want. But I will tell you this. I think it is eerie how quiet things have been from Eugene over the last couple of weeks, right? Haven't heard a bunch about Oregon. It's like they've got just something up there brewing for all of us. Let's not forget, this was the number 1 seed last year. Had a bye. Went to the Rose Bowl. Lost to Ohio State. I think the Ducks have a major chip on their shoulder that they've been waiting since that Rose Bowl to get back to this point. I really do. Oregon is unbelievable at home. It took a great performance from Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner and the number 1 team in the country, to beat them this year. 44-2 in the last 46 home games. That's what Oregon is. James Madison is a really good team, and I don't want to take anything away from James Madison. In fact, I think that they're the better group of 5 team in this playoff, to be candid with you. They're top 10 in the country in both scoring offense and defense. They are more balanced. They're led by a good running attack with right now is 5th best in the country with Wayne Knight. He's the Sun Belt's leading rusher. They've got a dual threat quarterback in Barnett. He can get things done. I think he's going to have to be out of his mind. He's going to have to be running around doing crazy things for them to even have a chance in this game, in particular on 3rd down. Oregon has one of the best run games in the country. And in fact, maybe not from a statistic standpoint, but from a film standpoint, if you just watch the last 5 or 6 games, I think Oregon's been the best rushing team in the country. Now, I don't know what the numbers would tell you about the last 5 or 6, but when you watch it, man, they are getting after it with that offensive line, and they're running the football incredibly well. James Madison, listen, JMU statistically, it'll show is one of the best rush defenses in the country. But that's the Sun Belt. Like, I don't know if those are real numbers, and I would just venture a guess that they're not. Meanwhile, Oregon's one of the best rushing teams in the country, and they did it in the Big Ten. They did it against teams like Iowa and Penn State, and like, that is a more real version of what we're about to see. I think they're going to be able to run it, and I think Dante Moore is going to be able to throw the football around. I really do. Autzen, again, is one of the toughest places. The eerie quiet from Eugene should put us all on notice. This is a team that could win a national championship. I think it's the team from this weekend. If I had to pick one team from this weekend in the first round that could potentially threaten to go to the national championship, maybe win a national championship, it would be this Oregon team. That's why they're favored by 21.5 against a good JMU team, a really good JMU team. Now, a concern for Oregon is that their coordinators both got new jobs. Tosh Lupoi is going to be the Cal coach. Will Stein's going to be the Kentucky head coach. I don't think that this impacts them in this game. It might moving forward, because obviously we've got the transfer portal opening up. With all of their wisdom, they decided to have a portal open up on January 2nd. And so if they were to play past that window where the transfer portal opened up, then it would be a conflict, and that would be a different discussion. But in this one, I do not think that it's a problem. One, it's JMU. No disrespect there. But 2, they don't have anything else going. So they can hire a staff. They don't have to be recruiting or potentially trying to line up transfers for their future job. I think Oregon covers the 21.5. You just throw down a score, and I'm like, okay, 42-17. That's a cover. So I like Oregon to cover this one. I know that that's a huge number, and JMU is a good football team, but I'm going to take it. Bob Chesney, you've done a heck of a job. Can't wait for him to get to UCLA. I think he's going to do a really good job at UCLA. Oregon wins this one 42-17. Let's get to a bracket prediction here. Let's kind of get through this one. So you know where I'm going in the first round. I've got Oregon winning in the first round. I've got Oklahoma winning in the first round. Ole Miss winning in the first round, and A&M. So let's go back to Oregon, now Texas Tech. Let's fill out our bracket. Again, the eerie quiet from Eugene, Oregon. I think Dan Lanning has got something up his sleeve in what I think will be an epic game. I mean an epic game. These are two great football teams, Texas Tech and Oregon. I think Oregon wins a really tight game. That's going to be phenomenal. I wish I could move both of those teams on, but I can't. OU, Indiana, I think Indiana is just really good and really balanced, and OU would not be able to score, in particular against that defense, and in particular because they can't create explosive plays against that layered zone defense of Indiana. Indiana moves on. They go to the semifinal. Georgia's playing great football. I think they would beat Ole Miss. This is where you would finally see the Kiffin effect kind of land, is that you wouldn't have Kiffin calling plays against that great defense of Georgia, which is starting to play really well. So Georgia moves on. In what I think would be an incredible game in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State has to face Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl, which, why are we doing neutral sites? I don't want to digress. Ohio State moves on. That defense, they'll fix the short yardage. They'll fix the red zone. Ohio State moves on. Semifinals, Indiana, Oregon, a rematch of the regular season. I think Indiana wins that game. Again, there's something about this Indiana team, folks. They are so good. They're great on defense. They can run it. They can throw it. And I think that they would end the Duck season and move to the national championship. And then Ohio State, I think, would clip Georgia in what I think would be a phenomenal football game. Georgia is excellent. They are excellent. I wish I could pick Georgia, but I can't because of that defense for Ohio State. It's too elite. It's too fast, and it's too multiple. And Indiana, Ohio State would rematch. It would be a rematch of the Big Ten championship game. I think it would be tough to beat the Buckeyes twice, so I'm going to go Buckeyes as my national champion. So there's my bracket as I fill it out. I'll take the Buckeyes as my national champion here as we get things started in the college football playoff. Hey, college football fans, you know the feeling you get when the home team takes it to the house. Well, this season, Eckrich, the official smoked sausage of the college football playoff, is letting you score big right along with them. So here's how it works. Just watch this year's college football playoff first round games on December 19th and 20th. And when the home team scores their first touchdown, check the game clock, because whatever time is shown on the scoreboard becomes the official take it to the house time. Then you head over to the website, www.eckrich.com/take it to the house, and enter that exact time for your shot at winning tickets and a trip to the 2026 College Football National Championship. So keep your eyes on the clock and Eckrich in your game plan, because it's almost take it to the house time. So if you've been online for any amount of time this week, you will know that I found myself in a little hot water. I had an interesting take. It was a bad take. It was a terrible take. I was on a show called The Next Round in Birmingham, and I go on every morning, Monday morning, with these guys in Birmingham all season long, and I love these guys. Ryan Brown, Lance, Jim, they're phenomenal guys. And we always have a great banter, and talk about college football and everything. And we started getting into a discussion about the group of five and this playoff and the playoff structure. And they were asking me kind of about Cinderellas and everything. And it's early Monday morning. And I will just say, like, I have this take about the NCAA tournament that is a bad take. And it's a hot take. But it's what I believe about the NCAA tournament. Now, to be fair, what I said on their show on Monday morning early was sloppy and worded wrong. And so it was kind of like I landed the plane, but it was in a cornfield. And so like we had to hit the eject, and it was like we kind of like the plane didn't crash necessarily. Here's the deal. I did not articulate what I wanted to articulate. Here's the take, okay? And rightly so, I've been jumped on online, and good. Like that's great. I love it. But here's the take. The NCAA basketball tournament, if the objective was to crown the best basketball team of the college basketball season, then it's a bad format. And because of that, then it's not fair, is what I said. And I said, is a joke. It's the dumbest. And that's obviously going to grab headlines. And again, that's stupid of me to use those terms. But the structure of the NCAA basketball tournament, its objective is entertainment. It's meant to be a gauntlet. So the point is, the best college basketball team for the year doesn't always win the NCAA basketball tournament. That tournament is set up to just crown its own champion. It's a made-for-TV entertainment event. And it's great. And by the way, I do love the NCAA basketball tournament. But if you're asking me, is it structured properly to crown the best team of the season? Then the answer is no. And for those reasons, like, I don't think the structure is right. It's not what I would build in order to crown a champion. Now, it's a hot take. It's a bad take. Not everyone's going to share that with me because everyone loves the entertainment value of Cinderellas in the NCAA basketball tournament. But here's the thing. If you're actually honest with yourself, you love the Cinderellas early, but late, you want to see the best teams playing against each other. You want to see incredible regional finals. You want to see Kentucky and Duke with Leitner hitting it at the buzzer. Why? Because that's greatness, right? So like I root for good teams to become the participants late in the tournament. So yes, you love Cinderellas in the tournament because you have 68 teams. But in college football, ours is much more selective. We have 12 teams of 130 whatever teams in college football. And so once we're down to 12, well, now we don't really want Cinderellas. And I will maintain that opinion. That is my opinion. You can disagree, and more power to you. But that is my estimation, because in the college football world, I think that the college football playoff, its objective is to crown the best college football team for the season. Well, then that's a different structure, and I think that that's pretty obvious. The way I said it on Monday morning was so dumb. Dumb take. And I prefaced it by saying it's like the hottest of all takes. There's 68 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament. So yeah, people love the Cinderellas, but you want the great teams playing late. That makes it awesome in the Final Four and the regional finals. And all I'm saying is we're already at that point in college football. By the way, I'm not a group of five hater. I know that's being thrown out there as well. I think it would be better for the group of five if they played their own championship so that we could celebrate them. Focus on them. More teams could be involved. More fan bases could be involved. That would be awesome. I think that would be great for everyone. Not having to go up to Autzen Stadium and play one of the five best teams in the country, like that's impossible for JMU. Now, if they win, good for them. And that will be awesome, but I will just say I think it would be better if they played their own playoff. Meanwhile, we've got a team that's sitting at home in Notre Dame that very well could have played in the national semifinal or even in the national championship. So these are two different styles of crowning a champion. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't know if I landed the plane there. I don't know. We might still be in a field. I'm not totally sure. Again, it comes down to what's your objective. If your objective is entertainment and excitement, the NCAA basketball tournament is unrivaled. It's fantastic. If your objective is to crown the best team for the season, then it's not very good. The guys at Pardon My Take, they did take away my man card for that. You know what? They should. Like I said, bad take. It's a bad take, but I'm going to stand on that opinion. It is what it is. You can't win them all. They said I need to stick to one sport. So I get it. I will stick to football. Football is my expertise, hopefully. I hope you've enjoyed the season. I hope you enjoy the playoff games. I think that the playoff games are at least two of them are going to be fantastic. And then the rest of the playoffs should be really good. We got good quarterbacks. We got good defenses. So this should be entertaining the rest of the way. I just wish we didn't have these long breaks in between games. And I wish that we could get the quarterfinals on campus. Hey, this holiday season, Fox Sports and Purple Heart Homes are teaming up to provide housing solutions for our nation's aging and disabled veterans through the Hearts for the Holidays campaign. So here's what I want you to do. To learn how you can help and heal hearts one home at a time, scan the QR code or visit go.fox/Purple Heart Homes. As you know, my dad is a veteran. He was a Marine. He was a first lieutenant in the Marine Corps. He fought in Vietnam. I am so indebted, all of us are, to your service out there. And listen, if you could, please help us out here at Fox and with this Purple Heart Homes initiative. And again, scan the QR code or go visit go.fox/Purple Heart Homes to learn more. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week with our recap of these playoff games. So come on back on Monday. We will be ready to go talking about these playoff games. Have a great weekend, everybody.